Armed forces and Army air defense gunners will continue to defeat all his designs and thwart all aerial threats.
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narsimhan. The Indian Army confirmed that the Golden Temple or the Harmandir Sahib, the Darbar Sahib in Amritsar, was one of the intended targets of a large-scale drone and missile attack launched by Pakistan on the 8th of May in retaliation against Bharat's strikes on the 9 terrorist sites in Pakistan and POK as part of Operation Sindu. Now, thanks to the prior intelligence and alert air defense, the holy shrine remained completely unarmed and unharmed. Major General Karthik C. Sheshadri, the General Officer commanding GOC of the 15th Infantry Division, said that the army had anticipated such an attack, particularly given Pakistan's history of targeting both military and civilian infrastructure when legitimate military targets were absent.
He has even targeted religious places specifically. A case in point being the Golden Temple located in Amritsar, which is internationally renowned and a place of faith for everybody. It saw a surfeit of drone and missile attacks, which were thwarted bravely by our Army AD gunners. The Indian Armed Forces and Army Air Defense gunners will continue to defeat all his designs and thwart all aerial threats.
8 और 9 मई की रात को दुश्मन ने हमारे ऊपर अचानक फायरिंग की और उस फायरिंग की आड़ में उसने इन्फिल्ट्रेशन की कोशिश की। मैंने और मेरे साथियों ने उस इन्फिल्ट्रेशन की कोशिश को अपने ऑब्जर्वेशन इक्विपमेंट की मदद से डिटेक्ट किया, दुश्मन पर अचूक फायरिंग की और उसकी घुसपैठ की कोशिश को नाकाम किया। हमारी फायरिंग का नतीजा ये निकला कि सुबह तक दुश्मन अपने घुटनों पर आ गया और उसने अपनी पोस्ट पर व्हाइट फ्लैग लहरा दिया।
They will try devious means, devious methods, but salute to our forces, our brave hearts, and of course the political establishment of the day that has worked towards designing a defense system that secures Bharat and its people. They decimated, destroyed with their guns, with their artillery shelling in Poonch Gurdwara, which also resulted in the lives of 4 Granthis being taken, and there were certain very young boys, Sikh boys, who have been maimed, who have been very severely injured in Poonch. But look what they tried with Amritsar and with Darbar Sahib, deliberately trying to bomb it, to try and drop a loitering munition, drone-backed explosives, or even a missile projectile at Harmandir Sahib. And there's a very, very devious narrative to it. But I hope the world is watching. Hope those who believe Pakistan have any empathy for Sikh or Sikhi are also watching this very, very carefully. Ramnik Maan with us. Colonel Ajay K. Raina, defense expert, will be joining us. He is also with us. And we also will be joined by Ambassador Deepak Vora, who should be joining us in any moment now. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Thank you. Ramnik Maan.
Namaste, Jai Hind.
Sat Sri Akal ji. Sir, I just want to ask you, Ramnik Maan, on that night, on the intervening night of 7th and 8th, there were many who were saying that something is afoot because there were certain K handles, Khalistani handles, those who are also Pak proxies and puppets who are asking the Sikh community to be aware. I hope you saw all of that, Ramnik Maan. What do you think was the intent behind the Pakistanis trying to target Harmandir Sahib?
Well, very clearly that we have a very strong social fabric, and there is a very strong bonhomie between Hindus and Sikhs, and there is no difference per se. They are trying to create a wedge, not just between the communities, but also Sikhs versus India, Sikhs versus Delhi. So the intent is very clear. They want Sikhs to revolt against the establishment, the government of the day, the Prime Minister per se in person. They have tried several times and they have failed. And they will always fail in every attempt when they try to divide, Sikhs from India or to take away. The basic point here is, the thing is that we don't differentiate when it comes to nationality. We don't want to be seen as next to anyone when it comes to national security. So any matter where it is about the national security, you will always see Sikhs in the front line. You know, the iconic photograph of the surrender of General A.A.K. Niazi. On Niazi's right, you see a Sikh general officer, General Jasjit Singh Arora, General J.S. Arora, an iconic army officer, and that is something which has been the bane of Pakistanis. The only thing common between us and them is the language. No cultural commonality, there is no religious commonality. So they must have tried to attack not just Darbar Sahib, you know, mind you, it also, the same complex also houses Sri Akal Takht Sahib. Akal Takht Sahib is the highest sectoral body for Sikhs. You know, this is very important. So they must have tried like they tried in 71, and they have been peddling lies. And I've been saying this over and over. I don't know why the agencies or why the people concerned in the power corridors are not bothered about it. Kathawachaks and the sons and babas per se are the ones who have to be very carefully seen. Instead, they have been given X, Y, Z security. So these people enjoy the perks and privileges of the nation and they act against the national security. Why hasn't anyone spoken? Surprisingly, when this intent was exposed by, a very dear friend on the same night, the reaction of SGPC was very strange. And they actually filed a police complaint against that handle with Punjab Police. And now that Indian Army is confirmed, I also wish to know that the Shaheen that they had, shot at us, which was brought down by one S-400, the trajectory will tell what was the target. The country should know what are the Pakistanis up to. And for Sikhs and Khalistanis, make sure. One brief moment, sir. When you refer to Khalistanis, let's keep two separate boxes. One box for the Khalistanis, the other for the Sikhs. Khalistanis are not Sikhs. They may appear like a Sikh, they may behave or try to show themselves like a Sikh, but they're not Sikhs. 87% of the Sikh population lives in India.
Ideally, those who are talking about even a land for the Khalsa are trying to derive that name from Khalistan from there. They don't even deserve that nomenclature because that's a misnomer, and to call them K-goons perhaps is most apt. Beyond that, giving them any decorum or any other place is perhaps not befitting. The other aspect is that lot also. Ambassador Deepak Vora is also with us. Namaste, sir. Jai Hind. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for asking.
Always a pleasure. Now, Colonel Raina is also with us. I'll just go to Colonel Raina and then I'll come to you, Ambassador, on this aspect and before we move. Colonel Raina, the intent, and then the Pakistanis on the other side and also their proxies started to say that Bharat would have tried to do this because they were trying to land something on Harmandir Sahib, so they have the opportunity to land something at Nankana Sahib, at Punjab Sahib, and also at the Kartarpur corridor and do something like that. This was a narrative that was built. How devious is this enemy that even at the face of getting a pounding, they try to look at somewhere they can cut the country, cut the enemy?
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen. See, there's something called everything is fair in love and war, which I keep saying it's not Sanatana philosophy. This philosophy doesn't belong to us. This philosophy of everything is fair in love and war and you can do anything during war only belongs to the ideology which ceases to die and it keeps reappearing in different avatars. Now when you talk of narrative, very good question. Actually, when we were preparing, those 2 weeks when Indian Army, our forces were preparing to strike deep into Pakistan, these guys knew their fate. So in my assessment, what they were doing, they were building up narratives. They were making those slides, those photographs, all those tweets, everything ready because they knew nothing else they can do. And that's what they did. And unfortunately, like what Ramnik Maan Sahab has said, there are people inside our country whom General Rawat used to refer to as 0.5. I always call them 1.0. They took it on. And God forbid, agar kuch ho jata, they would have been hell to pay. But then there's somebody who watches from top, and Indian Army, our forces, and our even civil population. I belong to one such segment which lives next to the border. We know how to protect temples of our gods and ashes of father. I keep repeating this. So this is, I think, it's a combination of goodwill, which our forces and a country, our Sanskriti has, blessings from the top, that we were able to defeat this kind of narrative. Otherwise, this is what they did. We were preparing to hit them. They were preparing to hit us with narratives. And this is what we've seen. Touch wood. Thank God everything's been nice.
True. But Ambassador Saab, even in this, they had two narratives. That's what we are given to know. Their toolkit had option A, option B, and an option C also. So an option A is that Bharat has landed this because they deliberately wanted to cause damage and they are blaming the Pakistanis. The second narrative is that Bharat could defend everything else, but Bharat could not defend Harmandir Sahib because they didn't want to. They looked the other way. So that's the second narrative. The third narrative is that, look, the only place where Sikhs are safe is in Pakistan. So these are narratives that they were wanting to build. How devious is this lot? And are those who are sitting abroad in the UK, Canada, and in Australia and all these places who are running this agenda or falling prey to these kind of narratives, especially the post-1984 or post-90s generation, will they wake up and see this true face?
Thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure. It's an honor to be on your channel. By the way, you're looking very nice, whatever you're wearing. Looks very elegant. Now, I was talking to, I heard Colonel Saab, I heard Man Saab. So, by way of disclaimer, may I just say about my family? Man Saab, my father was a Pashtun from Ghazni. My mother is from a Sikh family. So, I'm 50% Sikh, 50% Pathan. And I just want to tell those guys who want to hit my temple, chhodenge nahi. Don't you mess around with Sikhi. Don't you mess around with a real Sikh, sir. Yes, of course, it's the narrative that India did it themselves. India doesn't like the Sikhs. India did this. Remember 1984, etc., etc. They play that. You know, sir, in 1984, there used to be a fellow called Bhindranwale. For months after that, they kept showing his images as though he was coming down from the clouds or he was emerging from somewhere and he was still alive and he was going to fight, etc., etc. This was their game. They are not even masters at this game. They are stupid. They get easily exposed by intelligent people, but yet they continue because they have nothing else to do. We say they are very smart. They are not. They are idiots. If they were smart, they wouldn't do anything like this. Second thing I want to tell you, sir, Aman Saab, I did my district training. I belong to the class of 1973 of the Indian Foreign Service. 1974, I did my district training in Amritsar, where my mother's family was from. So I used to go to the border, there was a very interesting thing that we would shoot these smugglers. And then what we would euphemistically call a medical check, we'd figure out if it was a Muslim or a non-Muslim, and then we'd exchange the bodies. And there, when I would go there for our monthly meetings, and there one of the chaps from the other side was a Baloch. Then I was asking him about 1971. He had fought there and got thrashed. Then I asked him, I said, "Aapko dar lagta tha whenever you were facing the Indian army?" He said, "हाँ sir, सबसे ज़्यादा डर लगता था जब हम सुनते थे बोले सोने हाल, हम भाग जाते थे वहाँ से कि Sikhs are coming to hit us." I mean, this is this guy confessing to me that we were terrified of the Sikh, and then ultimately, of course, the Sikh took the surrender and so on. So, sir, my feeling is that they will try their utmost. We knew, we anticipated this. Amritsar is within reach. They can't hit Madurai or they can't hit one of our southern temples and so on. They would do it if they could. But Amritsar is so easily accessible and therefore we swung into action. Hats off to our boys. Hats off to Colonel Saab and his people. I mean, they just made sure that nothing happened. And sir, what I heard, Man Saab may confirm this, that despite the blackout and whatever, the langar continued, sir. This is Sikhis, sir. Who the hell are these guys to think that they can disrupt the beauty of the Golden Temple, the Guru Bani? Maybe we've switched off the lights. The Guru Bani continues, the langar continues. This was the biggest lesson, but these buffoons will never learn, sir. What is the lesson of history? The lesson of history is that there is no lesson of history. Everything happens twice, 1984, tragedy, and now they were trying to create a farce. This is, Hegel had said something funny to this effect. So my own feeling, sir, unless these guys can invent a new narrative, the world has seen through them. They're tired. Okay, log hain, sir. Naya kuch soch nahi, but दिमाग nahi hai na, sir. But they're all looking for their 72. Hure to nahi milti, choteli milti hai aajkal. But so they are waiting for that. Sorry.
Ambassador Saab has his own unique way of trying to fire and also not fire at all. But in this case, you talked about itihas. They've erased the itihas. Otherwise, they would also know why they wear salwars. They would know the story of Hari Singh Nalwa. They would know. They would know what the reality is and what can happen. But but somewhere this also has to be something that has to be highlighted across the world, that this is what the Pakistanis did to the holiest shrine of the Sikhs, and this is how much they consider or value Sikhi. Ramnik Man, quick word before we move on to the next part of this coverage. Yeah.
There is an old Pashto saying, Chupsha, Hari Singh Ragale. That means keep quiet, Hari Singh will come. So this is how it is. The sheer fear of Sikhs inside these people have been instilled not today, for centuries now. So I will tell you once again, the current polity, the Indian army, the Indian armed forces, and the Sikh community collectively are enough to give them a mouthful. We have been, like Ambassador Vorasa was mentioning, we have been the gateway. We have thwarted them too many times. And this time will be no different.
The best part was one of the voices from the army who stood there and said, "Ki humne unke post hi uda diye."
There was a Nayak, yes, he was a Sikh soldier, a Nayak. He was saying that they had to raise their flag, and there is a song, if I may, by a Fauji. He said, "Tuwa kar dange beri de mulak nu." It's like we will smoke the enemy's country. Tuwa kar dange beri de mulak nu. Ek bari chanu ijazat de de sarkar. If the government gives us permission, we will blow up that country. And it's a Sikh soldier, mind you. And these jokers like Pannu, they are not representatives of Sikhs. They are at best stooges of Pakistan. They are on their payrolls. At best.
But my sincere apologies to all the soldiers. I generally don't identify them by their origins or by their beliefs. They are all soldiers once they don the uniform. But in this case,
thank you for your service,
in this case, a big shout out to the Sikhs out there, the Sikh regiment also, because they did a phenomenal job in giving a bloody nose to the Chinese also when they stepped up and played along with their Bihar mates, and what they did at Galwan. So there is a story there too. There are many such stories, viewers. We have to move on. A major espionage racket has been busted, exposing deep links between a Pakistan High Commission official and Bharatiya nationals involved in leaking sensitive information. Ehsan Rahim, also known as Danish, has been expelled from Bharat for espionage. 4 Bharatiya citizens, Jyoti Malhotra, Guzala, Arman and Devinder Singh Dhillon, have been accused of aiding the Pakistani spy network through information leaks, covert payments and surveillance activities. From videos of sensitive army locations to strategic microtransactions, this is one of the biggest spy rings uncovered in recent times, and at the helm of this alleged racket is Ehsan Rahim alias Danish, a Pakistani High Commission official who had reportedly been declared persona non grata and was asked to leave Bharat within 24 hours on the 13th of May. The second in command is believed to be YouTuber Jyoti Malhotra, the travel vlogger who has been arrested for allegedly spying for Pakistan. Next in the nexus is Shakir alias Rana Shehbaz, whose contact was saved in her phone as Jat Randhawa. Investigators claim that Jyoti Malhotra shared photos, videos and details of sensitive locations in Bharat with her Pakistani handlers. She also reportedly tried to boost Pakistan's image on social media through her online platforms. Now, there are 7 people who have a direct connection with Danish. The other arrests have been made in espionage cases, reportedly have different handlers. 2 alleged spies have been arrested in Malerkotla and Punjab. They were allegedly working for Pakistan. Guzala, a 32-year-old widow, visited the Pak High Commission in New Delhi in Feb this year to apply for a visa. This is where she met Danish and began talking to him regularly. Danish soon persuaded her to switch from WhatsApp to Telegram, claiming it was safer on the pretext of marriage, made her transfer funds. Another accused held from Punjab is Yameen Mohammed, who reportedly collaborated with Danish in financial dealings and visa-related activities. Devinder Singh Dhillon, a 25-year-old student from Kaithal in Haryana, was arrested for spying for Pakistan's ISI. He allegedly shared information about Bharat's military operations and confidential military information. Arman was arrested from Nuh district for allegedly sending military information to Pakistan via WhatsApp. Noman Elahi, a security guard from Panipat, was also arrested for allegedly sharing sensitive information with Pakistan. Tarif from Nuh revealed he was in contact with 2 officials from the Pak embassy who reportedly provided him with SIM cards and asked him to take pictures of the Sirsa airport. More investigations are ongoing. Let's go back to our guests and understand this and the impact of this. So far, in the last 24 to 36 hours, 10 people have been arrested over Haryana, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh, and there are still many more who are being cracked down. Some of them being used to create influence and also use pictures. A lot of them at ground asked to take images, travel to Jammu and Kashmir, take pictures of the cantonment area there, act as tourists, take pictures and pass on that information. So, Colonel Raina, how would you see this?
Anand, and we will always do this. In fact, all nations do this. But my worry is that, like this Jyoti Malhotra, if you look at the profile and the kind of income she had and the kind of way of life she had led, traveling all over and going on. So there seems to be something amiss. Vorasa will be able to probably point it out. I feel that even in the case of Pakistan is coming and overstaying by decades in India, and how come that we didn't come to know? In more than one way, I feel this ahuti of 26 lives given in Pahalgam has actually shaken us up. We are possibly we've been sleeping for a while for reasons not known to me. But these are soft targets. Now the world of reels and TikTok and whatever, this has given a lot of money, name and fame to youngsters, and then they become soft targets. And then once these professionals who come into embassies, Vorasa would know better, then they target these people. And look at the parents of the girl. The father is saying, so what? She was talking to her friends in Pakistan. Where's the harm or where's the sin in that? So that is a kind of, I would say, if I grant everything to a father, that is a degree of cluelessness or ignorance or whatever you may call it in the family. And then as you go out in the street and go into the society, then there's something really amiss. Something needs to be done, because there are many YouTubers, Anand, today you see them speaking for Pakistan, speaking against India, and we keep treating them as if, freedom of expression ka deke, we keep tolerating that kind of nonsense.
No, but then in that case, these are low-hanging fruit, Colonel, because Ambassador Saab would know that there are so many others who made a career out of conflict profiteering. They have become active agents of so-called peace and aman ki asha, etc., etc. So then these are then low-hanging fruits. How is it that taking pictures of a few areas when today satellite imaging has the entire blueprint in front of you? So what's actually happening here? Are the real perpetrators, the real people who are instigating, those who are claiming cultural invasion 20 days or a month before someone turns around and says, peddles the two-nation theory on the other side, and then Pahalgam is orchestrated? Those people continue to enjoy their positions of office and nothing is being said. Those who are turning around and saying, let's give peace a chance, despite fully well knowing that the person who's the aggressor is on the other side. So what's happening there then, Ambassador Saab? How is a security guard more culpable than these people?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question you've asked. Let me tell you that I've tried to understand what this woman has been up to. I've dealt with such cases. Colonel Saab, thank you very much for saying that I know more about women than you do. So thank you very much saying that I'll be able to respond. That's passing the buck. I'm 74 years young. I've even forgotten. As far as this woman is concerned, I spoke to one of my very good psychiatrist friends from a government hospital, one of the best in the world. So what motivates a person like her? And he said this is what they call a narcissistic personality disorder. A certain Donald Trump also suffers from something very similar. Narcissistic personality. I'm the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the brightest, I'm the beautifulest, I'm the richest, I'm this, I'm that. And so the Pakistanis are inviting me, you know who I am, I'm so-and-so. And they invite me and I'm going to make peace and I'm going to change the world, etc. And then you have a very large number of followers. So that gives you what is called the social media high. And he explained it to me very well. He said then they fall into the trap. Either it's money, or in her case, probably, he said, it could be a reverse honey trap. There was an Indian diplomat, by the way, I don't know if you remember, Madhuri Gupta, I think was her name, from our service. She was posted in Islamabad and then she did all kinds of funny things. But before the case could reach its conclusion, she died, which was a very good thing. The world was rid of one more traitor. So in her case, in this Miss Malhotra's case, I don't know how old she is, but her father would have enjoyed all the benefit. अरे मैं ज्योति मल्होत्रा का बाप हूँ, वो YouTuber जो ये करती है वो करती है. You know, he would have also benefited greatly, improved his own social standing. So this woman, one was suffering from this disorder. She did it for money. There's no question. How could she afford all those expensive things? All expenses, trips paid. See, sir, I've dealt with this kind of thing in the course of my career. I've spent some time.
Right.
What happens is that we don't nab the person immediately. You spend some time, you monitor the contacts, you monitor the communication, you try and find out the network. And when it's the right time is when we strike. This is what has happened in this woman's case. She didn't expect that we would arrest her. She was going along merrily. Now, she was not going to give information about any military installation. Those are, as you said rightly, available from satellite. What she would have done through her 4 lakh or 3 lakh followers was create a story. अरे पाकिस्तान इतना अच्छा देश है, दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश है, वहाँ के लोग तो बहुत अच्छे हैं, सारे इंडिया से बहुत प्यार करते हैं, आप जाइए, क्यों आप लोग गाली देते हैं? और भारतीय सेना को, अरे वो तो आपके दोस्त. This is the kind of nonsense she would have spread. And sir, like it or not, and there are 10 million YouTubers in India or around the world, they create narratives and they have a following, so whether we like it or not. So, what we have done, I believe, is brilliant. We've hit her where it hurts. And क्या नाम था इसके blog का? Travel with Joe. अब मैडम जेल में बैठ के रो, अब पता लगेगा तेरे.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But Ramneek Man, these 10 are perhaps the lowest of all, the lowest hanging fruit. These people would not have done as much damage as some of the others are doing. So then this crackdown has to be comprehensive and all the way up to every single person who's helped the enemy create a narrative against Bharat or helped the enemy foment trouble in Bharat. Ramneek Man, agree, disagree?
I'll add 2 points to this. First point is that there is another person called Harkirat Singh. He was responsible for arranging Pakistani visas.
Yeah.
For travelers from India to Pakistan, more specifically Sikhs to travel. And he is somebody who was caught by the Haryana police day before night.
Yeah.
So there are more. I don't look at them
I think they have interrogated him and then let him off. That's what's happened right now. That's the update on him. Yeah, Ji.
Okay. So the thing is that you see, there are journalists from your community. There are IFS officers from Sir's community, Gora Saab's community, and then there may be a few black sheeps in the armed forces as well. And you know, there are a lot of people who have been giving intellectual cover fire, politically speaking, from India, including, if I am allowed to say, the leader of the opposition. He gives out narratives to Khalistanis. He gives out narratives to Pakistani media persons to peddle lies against India. So the thing is that these, of course, are low-hanging fruits. And when you ask, as in, satellite imagery is available today, so what good they do? Yes, the same good David Coleman Headley was doing before 26/11 happened. And don't forget that Jyoti visited Pahalgam a few days before the incident happened. So you never know how they're being used. And YouTube has been a major source of money flowing into India. Several hundred, perhaps even thousands of crores of rupees have been transmitted through YouTube. You can contribute, you can buy memberships, and then there are several ways of transferring money through YouTube. So my thing is that we first need to bring some sort of a regulation, and of course we need to keep a regular track on who's visiting Pakistan, who's interacting with the officials in the embassies of Pakistan. So let's be very clear, an enemy is an enemy and he'll always be an enemy. So we will always expect the enemy to stab in the back and to behave the way they behave. But Indian citizens have to be dealt with a very heavy hand, and an example has to be set out of these people, because in case of the lady Vora Saab was referring to, Vora Saab, she only got punished for 3 years.
That's right, sir.
Yeah, that's it.
Defended by the topmost
it's not a slap on the knuckle, sir. We have laws, but I'm sorry, Anand, but our justice delivery system is rusted and rotten. So we need to look at that as well.
I think somewhere there also has to be a greater consciousness that has to be developed, that your service to the country has to be above everything else. And at every point in time, especially when you're in a position of influence, or in a position of trying to perhaps even evolve change, influence public opinion greater than the responsibility of every word that one says, every picture that one puts out, every video that one makes, and every place that one tries to outline, or every place that a person goes to visit. And that consciousness has to be there, because somewhere all of this will end up helping or hurting our own country. Now that is something that has to come into public consciousness. We just quickly get a move.
Security mindset, sir.
Ji, please.
What I was saying that in our mind, a security mind, I'm not saying militaristic, security, but this could be a threat to India's security because, sir, today we are unstoppable. No, India has become Bharat. As we race ahead, there are jokers like this neighbor of ours who has nothing to look forward to. He'll say, "Bharat ko bhi roko, kyunki mere gore malik kehte hain ki Bharat ko ubharne na do." This is basically the mindset that I see, sir. हम तो डूबने वाले हैं, अगर देखते हैं तेरे को भी थोड़ा पानी के नीचे ले जाएं, तो बड़ी अच्छी बात हो. This is what they exist for, no, sir? We are called, they describe us as their eternal enemy.
That is one argument. That is an argument from the enemy's perspective.
Sorry, let me just remind you about.
Sorry, मैं आपकी बात काट रहा हूँ, but that is the enemy's perspective, ना? From the Indian perspective, I mean, how can we let go of somebody who's acted against the national interest and just 3 years punishment?
No, sir. You're right. This is precisely what I'm saying. We have to have that security mindset. We should not let, because these guys are committed to creating trouble for us. So one final thing I just wanted to add, when I was posted in Amritsar Mansab, and whenever we'd have these meetings, apart from the fact that they were so frightened of the Sikhs, the other thing was my counterpart was there, we are kal wo le, next time you come, wo le aana. You know what the war was? Alcohol. Right. Damage in their own country.
Right. No, but
how
see,
great Muslims these characters were.
Whatever their characters are, the point is that somehow they have the ability to charm the person who's there, to make them think that they are the holier than thou. They're such misunderstood people, etc., etc. But they are wolf in sheep clothing, and they have 3 layers of sheep, wool before underneath. We will find the fangs, and that is something that everybody has to always bear in mind at all points in time. So that is something that, and the Aman ki Asha is only from this end. It's never from that end. From that end, it's always that we want to bleed Bharat with 1,000 cuts. It's a very clear stated goal for the enemy, and they will always remain thus. That because that now they've made it the be all and end all of their existence at this point. I have to move on. Yes, Colonel Raina, and then we move to the next part quickly.
Yeah. Anand, thanks, Anand. I also have to go. One point I want to make: the reason that they don't get punished, that's the reason enough for them to get that kind of encouragement. I would say this is a security issue. Why can't you hand over such cases to be tried by military courts? It happens in many countries. We must learn from others, including Pakistan. They do it. Anything which threatens the security of country must be tried in a military court.
The fear of law, fear of consequence, there are many ways to instill that. It can be done. If the system wants to do it, they can do it. Colonel Sahab, I'm going to request you to stay on with us for another 10 minutes, please, because there's another angle that we have to cover, and that is the Baloch angle. And I have to come, we need your thoughts on that. Ramnik Man, please stay on with us. Ambassador Deepak Vora also, please stay on with us. I'm going to request everyone to stay. Just quickly, another important aspect before we get to the Baloch part, where again we need your thoughts. We've just got information through the day that, and Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us this, that the NSA, Ajit Doval, kept the cards very close to his chest. The targets were given only towards the last 2 hours. The last 90 to 120 minutes is when the real targets were revealed to those even who are going to be committing or getting involved in the operation or going to hit the targets. So the targets were also kept very close to the chest. Ajit Doval was right, the person, perhaps the only person who knew what the final targets are going to be. Muridke, Bahawalpur were there just to show to the Pakistanis that we could hit them at will wherever we want and deep into the Pakistani territory. Military intelligence, ISRO, satellites, or comprehensive intelligence gathering was done, and all of this was done with supreme secrecy. But what stands out is that one of the most significant developments during Operation Sindu was the detection of Chinese presence in Pakistan's radar and technical systems, and how advanced their involvement was, as they helped them man these radar stations and the intelligence technical systems, and also help them bring it forward closer to the border lines and bring it forward. They described China's support as active and visible on day one of the operation, and this assessment is further reinforced by public findings from Ashok Kumar, Director General of the Ministry of Defence, backed the Centre for Joint Warfare Studies. In an interview, he said China had assisted Pakistan in reorganizing its radar and air defence systems and adjusting satellite coverage over India in 2 weeks following the Pahalgam massacre, pointing to a deeper layer of Chinese involvement or level of Chinese involvement in the run-up to the conflict and also within the Pakistani military establishment. Ambassador Deepak Vora, your thoughts on this before I bring in Colonel Ryan and Ramnik Man.
Sure. So I'm not sure this story is accurate that only Mr. Doval, who is an outstanding national security advisor, probably the best in the world. The American ambassador not too long ago had called him an international treasure. He's brilliant. I mean, I've met him. He's outstanding. Perhaps the Prime Minister knew about it and a few others would have known about it. To say कि PM साहब को नहीं मालूम था, that's a bit hard to swallow.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right that the Chinese were thoroughly involved in it. By the way, sir, as a development economist, Man Saab and Colonel Saab, I've done a group of us have done a regression analysis on the cost of what you guys have done over there. And Mansab, the figure that we have arrived at is in excess of 15 billion with 9 zeros. 15 billion US dollars. That's the aircraft destroyed, the hangars destroyed, the bases destroyed, the people killed. $15 billion ka nuksan, sir, only because of one buffoon whose ego is insatiable. He wanted to do it. I hope somebody asks his grandmother to pay that kind of money. But yes, what you're saying that we had maintained secrecy, that's how we were able to do it. And then Chanakya had taught us 3 things. First is strategic delay. Aaj nahi marenge, kal nahi marenge, parson. Let him get confused. Second is strategic deception. So this is Chanakya again, not me. And he had taught, we launched some decoy aircraft, etc., and drone. And the third, that's strategic deception. And the final is strategic destruction, which we did. Yeah, I think Chanakya, 2,400 years ago, he lived in India. He would be very happy jumping up and down wherever he is.
No, but the Chinese getting so involved deep into the Pakistan military systems at them at once.
They don't like India. We are the barrier to their expansion. They'll gobble up all of Asia were it not for India, sir. We stand here. They don't like us at all, sir. In their mind, Aman Saab, you know that in their minds what it is. The opium wars of 1850, 1860. Who went from India to beat them up? It was Sikh soldiers, sir. They still think that Indian military is, and similarly, they don't like the Japanese because of the Japanese have clobbered them every time. But they don't like us. In their collective memory is that the Indians came and beat us up. This is it. So otherwise, why would they deal with Pakistan, sir? It's not the Islamic People's Republic of China. They hate Islam. Look at all the Uyghurs that they have locked up. They're only doing it to hurt India. Period.
So then we should very clearly define China as the number one enemy and then recalibrate our trade, our business, our dependence, economical dependence on Chinese mal, etc. And also the entire trading community in this country, a lot of them who feed off Chinese products and also bring them out, use supplies, manufacturing industry, Colonel Raina, all of them need to know that the number one enemy is China. Pakistan is just a vassal and the terror systems is just an extension of the Pakistan army. But overall, the controller and the largest enemy for the country is China. They are no friends. There is no bhai-bhai situation there at all.
Absolutely, Anand. And when Mr. George Fernandes made this statement almost 20 years back, there's a lot of hue and cry, and that's what happened when you speak truth. And the interesting part is, Anand, that while China is there, our enemy number one, and Pakistan is proxy of China, China wants conflict between India and Pakistan to carry on at a very low level. Because if it escalates beyond a point, like it almost escalated, and we were saying give one more day and let's sort out the navy, then Pakistan, we will have clear winner out of this conflict, which will be a slap across China's face because proxies is beaten. So that's not something he wants to avoid. And of course, there's no doubt China is our enemy number one. No doubts about that.
No,
and
but
we realize that last 10 years, government has...
No, not government realizing, but the people of the country also need to realize there is so much of, there is a huge amount of China mal coming in, there is a huge amount of Chinese software, Chinese influence, food, etc. that the overall understanding, or perhaps this time Operation Sindu, Ramnik Man, every person in the country realized how badly they want to sort out Pakistan, right? Now that has to, we don't need to have another war or another skirmish like Galwan for the world, for Bharat, every Bharatiya to realize that the biggest enemy around us is China. There is no friendship there.
No doubt about it. Well, let me put it like this. IWT, Indus Water Treaty, is sorted now, and Balochistan, Afghanistan, Sindu Desh, and Pakhtunistan, they're still developing. They're work in progress, let's say. And I don't know why people have not mentioned about this 9/11. 9 is on the day 1 when the Indian Army and the armed forces hit 9 terrorist targets, and 11 is the military number of military targets. So we've done a very strong 9/11 on these buggers. I mean, I don't know. Nobody's mentioned it so far. But you see, the biggest aim or the target has, or the greatest hit has been taken by China and US put together. I'll tell you how. The military industrial complexes in both these countries have been severely hit. और आप जो बता रहे हैं आनंद, हम अपने बच्चों को चाइनीज खिलौने नहीं दिलवाते, पाकिस्तानियों ने तो पूरा का पूरा डिफेंस सिस्टम अपना जो है वो चाइनीज लगा रखा है. So this ought to happen. But this is also when, you know, like Ambassador Vora Saab was mentioning, they've lost $15 billion worth.
Right.
So $15 billion worth is more than what they have in their coffers today. They are just about 11 billion. And if they lost 15, so they are in negative already. So the whole thing about it is that the Americans got rattled, the collective West got rattled, the Chinese got rattled, the Turkish got rattled. If I may use this word, they shat in their pants. Because India has been so magnificent at 1, offensive, and 2, defensive. We've proven our technical might, superiority over every aspect. Every aspect, mind you, not a man crossing the border. And we brought them down onto their knees. And the kind of damage that Indian Army has inflicted on them,
Well,
it will take them years to come out of it. Years.
Well,
Not that they will not come back to us.
Point is, sir, we should not give them those years. We should never give them the chance to get out of it. One group of people who are very happy with what happened in those 90 hours, one of their key representatives is joining us live. It is Mehran Mari. So the Baloch have, thank you very much, Mehran. Lovely to see you. His brother Changiz Mari is somewhere who's at the top, is at the forefront of also the entire Baloch movement. They are also now related via marriage to the Buktis, if I remember. So the Maris, the Buktis, the Baloch, they're all coming together. The tribes are all, the groups are all, the groups are all coming together. But more importantly, what they are saying is, give us the 93,000 guns that you took in 1971 from the Pakistanis. Those guns are enough. That's what they say. We don't want any other military help. Just वो जो बंदूकें उनसे जब्त की थी वो हमें दे दें. That's what they are saying. But Mehran, the Baloch Liberation Army, as we speak today, the media wing, Hakal, has released a detailed video of the hijacking of the Jafar Express from March. And those pictures show this is Operation Darai Bolan 2.0. Now, those pictures show how well the BLA has organized itself. Tell us about the Baloch and the Baloch movement, because many believe that the Baloch themselves were not able to organize themselves. They were not able to come together and project a unified front. True, false?
Absolutely false. The reality is that in recent years, the Baloch fighters have shown the capacity or the lack of it of the Napak army and the failures of the Napak army to fight a war. I mean, 1971, why one of our guys said, leaders said, fighters, that, you know, give us those guns, because the Napak army have not advanced. They're using the same guns, so even the old guns will do us fine, because they haven't, all the money that goes for the budget, it's all spent on fat generals buying their kids houses in Europe. So the military equipment is very poor and old. The Baloch know it firsthand because they're fighting them every day. So the thing is, the Napak army is a totally failed army. The people on the ground know that. But they had created this monster of the 7th largest army in the world, and this false narrative of Napak army being one of the most talented after Mossad. ISI is number 1, number 2. It's a big Bombay chart kind of thing going on between them. Who's first, who's second? But that has been proven. There's a failed army, a coward army that can only fight women and children and civilians. It can never fight any form of a man or fighters, be it a woman or a man fighter. They cannot. So this has been a big advance on the international stage. Because I think lots of Gulf countries were supplying them lots of finance, everything, hoping that we have a big 7th largest army in our back pocket to do any dirty work. They realize in Nakam army hai, buzdil army hai. So, yeah, they have been exposed.
Right.
War in Balochistan.
Now, how is the Baloch? How are the Baloch trying to organize themselves? There is a big case that the Baloch have made ever since 1948, but the international community has not done much about it. 42% to 44% of Pakistan's current shape is because of Balochistan, because of the landmass. 4%, 5% of the overall population representation, but Balochistan is rich in natural resources. It's rich in beauty, natural beauty. There, in terms of mountains and scenic locations, phenomenal for tourism, etc. A lot of inaccessed areas, but the people have been long persecuted. So how are the Baloch trying to raise what the Pak Wardi's Dehshatgardi has been in Balochistan?
See, we have to clarify many misconceptions and the numbers that the NAPAK army and its intelligence agencies and its ISPR and the whole mechanism puts forward. Baloch, 46% of landmass, 4% is wrong. The 40% of people living in Sindu of Baloch origin. There has been heavily gerrymandering happen on an extensive scale where they've cut bits of Balochistan, put in Punjab, and cut bits of Balochistan and put in Sindh. So Balochistan is almost 60% of the landmass of this now Pakistan present, not 43. Secondly, the population is not small. It's a big population. There's huge migrations of Baloch people because of this occupation and the atrocities into Sindh, into Punjab, into Afghanistan, into Iran. So once we're independent, we will be a major player in the region. Then they downplay this whole thing. Baloch गरीब 4% है, 40% पहाड़ पे रहते हैं, बकरी चराते हैं. No, we will be a super state, far greater than UAE and Qatar. On our population per capita income, we will be higher than UAE and Qatar. So it should not be downplayed, and I think that India's role now at this 2025 should be to be at the forefront of this, to help us openly. There is no need for covert help. Why help us covertly? I mean, look what's happening in Ukraine. The whole world is jumping forward to help. And America salamat se darne ka kya baat? I mean, you know, it's just wrong. Your regional power, India should make its own decisions. And you know, this IMF bailout, I think it's a very bad thing. ये तौहीन किया है IMF ने. Basically, अमेरिका को इस वक्त उसको रिश्वत देके. We are getting killed. There's a genocide going on in Balochistan, and they're getting paid to do that. That's how I see it. It's shameful. The world should stand up against this.
Very articulately put forward there. Ambassador Deepak Ora, your thoughts? We got more inputs on this, but quickly, I just want to know what you think before we bring this out. Also, another angle of Balochistan. Yeah.
Just wanted to tell our colleague from Balochistan. So I met Nawab Ali Akbar Bukti a few times in New York when he was working for the Pakistani government. And so sometimes, you know, conversations get embedded in your memory. I remember once we were talking in New York. He was much older and I respected him greatly. And he even gave me the liberty. He said, call me uncle. So I said, no, sir, I'll call you your excellency. He was chief minister or governor or something. And then he said, you know, Deepak, he used my first name. Of course, I was much younger. He said, you know, Deepak, my loyalty is to Pakistan. I wish it were to you. I still remember, I didn't understand what he was saying at that time. But anyway, that's what happened. And then he was killed surreptitiously. He was killed clandestinely in a cave, etc. So my own feeling, sir, is that with the Chinese and the Canadians now mining for gold and whatever they have in Balochistan, the Pakistanis have this idea, get out as much as you can because we will have to leave ultimately. The Baloch are not going to listen to us. I think that seems to be the policy at this time. जितना निकाल सकते हो निकालो क्योंकि आपको बहुत जल्दी वहाँ से भागना पड़ेगा.
No, but then that should also not happen. That's so unfair to the Baloch. They're such an ancient, population, tribes, their culture. We've highlighted the cultural moorings also. Hinglaj Mata, Katas Mahadev Temple, all of that is in that region also. And there is a huge connection way back into our Itihasa. We spoke about it last time. We've just got more news. And Mehran Murray and then Ramneek Maan, I'll come to you for this. Sure. Now, the Pak army has been accused of using illegal sources. illegal sources of money to curb the Baloch movement, with proxy groups operating parallel economies alongside the frontier core, exploiting Balochistan's porous borders with Afghanistan and Iran, which have become a hub for opium and methamphetamine trade. These proxies impose taxes on smugglers and use the proceeds to finance their operations. The United Nations estimates that $2 to $3 billion annually flows through Balochistan's drug routes. Additionally, the smuggling of Iranian diesel into Pakistan via Balochistan generates another 500 million yearly, with the frontier core checkpoints taking a big cut out of it. In Gwadar and Quetta, proxies extort businesses and kidnap wealthy individuals for ransom, collecting around $20 million every year. And according to intelligence sources, in 2024, illegal mining of gold, copper, coal, Ambassador Deepak Vora was just talking about it, groups backed by the Frontier Corps brings in about another $1.5 billion annually, with profit shared between the proxies and these military officials. So overall, about $4 billion annually is being looted, plundered out of Balochistan, and it's the proxies planted by the Frontier Corps, the Pak army itself, who are actually hurting the Baloch movement and further persecuting the people. Mehran Mari?
It's absolutely true. And the death squads are at the forefront of this operation. People like the present chief minister, if you can call him that, Chaudhry Sarfaraz Masuri, that they've planted. He is a brainchild of the military. And it's people like him who head the death squads and supposedly head the government, the provincial government. And these are the traders, the rogue traders, that sell Baloch blood on international markets and then share the profits with their Punjabi masters.
Ramneek Man, you think Bharat should make its position official? Mehran Mari thinks so.
I think, there must be something going on. The gentleman we were referring to initially as a treasure to the world must have something up his sleeves. But there is a point that we are probably missing here. We've discussed the illegal diesel, the drugs, the cigarettes. We've forgotten about the organ harvesting that the Pakistani army has been doing. The missing Baloch boys and girls, their organs are missing. They're not just the whole of them missing, their organs are also missing. So the Pakistan army is doing just about everything in Balochistan, looting their natural resources to, stealing their organs. This is where Pakistan has come down to. But again, I feel that the United Nations collectively, I don't know, sir, how do you look at it, Deepak Vora Saab? You've been a diplomat all these years and counting, sir. But the UN has completely failed to address the human rights issues in Balochistan. It's about time that, we should step up our game in Balochistan and at least help these people. They were wronged. They were independent on 11th of August 1947, much before India and Pakistan were. And Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was the legal advisor to the then Shah of Kalat, he actually breached the trust of attorney and client privilege, and he actually coaxed them into joining the state of Pakistan. The Baloch always wanted to be free. The illegals, the Muktis, all these tribes there, they want to be free of Pakistan. Even today, this is probably the longest, freedom struggle that we've seen over the years.
And not just that, Mama Qadir Baloch has been on such a long protest trying to highlight the case of missing people in Balochistan. They will never
come back, sir, because their organs have been harvested.
Correct, but Ambassador Deepak Vora and Mehran Mari, more than Bharat getting active in Balochistan or whatever directly involved, the point is there has to be a certain waking up of those people for whom such a large place and such big atrocities have been blind spotted in the UN. How are they blind to this?
Honestly, I have represented... Sorry, Deepak.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say that I've served that wretched agency. It's going to be 80 years in August. I don't have anything in my house. I'm 74. Nothing in my house that's 80 years and I still use. I threw it out. In South Sudan, when I was your ambassador, it was called UN stood for unnecessary. They are useless. They just get up, they sleep the whole day, make a speech, go back to sleep. And that Guterres fellow, who's the Secretary General, says, I have no money, I have no military, I have no strength, I have a loud voice. So I'll raise that voice. That too has been curtailed. He doesn't open his mouth. So, sir, don't expect anything from those guys. It has to be, and I'm saying this with considerable thought, it has to be Afghanistan, Iran, Bharat, sir. I think if we come together Balochistan will find its destiny. And sir, our Baloch colleague, sir, I've been attending your meetings in New York, either virtually or in person, sir. Take it from me, sir. This Pathan is telling you his heart is Baloch, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Mehran Murray. As far as the UN, till the time it exists, something has to be done. Every year, I have seen the Baloch people outside there in Geneva, and they are all the UN officials and all the others are visiting some of the other places, but the Baloch are largely ignored.
Yeah. I represented Balochistan in the UN in Geneva for 20 years.
Yes.
And then they put a 10-year ban on me because the stolen wealth from our gold, oil, gas, everything is in Swiss bank accounts. And that's exactly what I was exposing. The reality. Chinese stolen wealth and Punjabi army stolen wealth is in Swiss bank accounts. They put a ban on me. They arrested me at the airport. I'm a British citizen. They said you're a threat to Switzerland. So basically, the Human Rights Council should be moved out of Switzerland into an honorable country with a spine like United Kingdom, France, or Germany. Switzerland's a weak country. Its arms get twisted by military generals from China and Pakistan. So you can understand the UN has terribly miserably failed the Baloch nation.
Let us make sure it's shifted to Bharat. Then we'll sort it all out.
That would be great.
All right. On that note, I have to wind up. I've run out of time. Thank you, Mehran Murray. Pleasure speaking with you. Thank you, Ramneek Maan and Ambassador Deepak Warua and Colonel Raina. And thank you, viewers, for staying with us here on The Right Stand. Brass Tacks after the break. Stay with us.
Co-presented by... This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Let me begin by talking about the investigation. So Vikram Singh, I want to ask you this. Is it possible that so many individuals from across different states in the country were traveling to Pakistan and went unnoticed for months, perhaps years?
This is absolutely, I would say that a very good question, but this is absolutely highly unlikely that such incidents go unnoticed. Pakistan and the ISI have come out with a very well calibrated roadmap, and they have added a whole new dimension to espionage, that is using the so-called influencers. And one influencer has a snowballing effect, leads to 5 to 50, 50 to 500, as you would say, 4 states and 10 arrests till now. And as you very rightly mentioned in your opening remarks, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You scrape a little. I also would like to mention the Shahzad has been arrested in Muradabad by the UP ATS, and absolutely no known sources of income, yet a palatial bungalow, and the eyebrows were raised only after the Pahalgam incident and Operation Sindu. Operation Sindur also has come down like a ton of bricks on all these undesirable elements, and which should have happened earlier. These were actually sleeper cells that were activated before Pahalgam, as in the case of Jyoti, who visited Pahalgam and Pakistan, and then she was activated. Now, during the course of Operation Sindur, these sleeper cells must be converted into dead cells, and dead cells within a span of 30 working days, because what the damage that they have done and the manner in which they have conversed and interacted on encrypted platforms. And I would say that there is a dedicated platform known by Thoraya that has been installed by Pakistan to be used in the border areas by the devious elements. So Thoraya, Signal, Snapchat, and also other platforms that you had mentioned, WhatsApp and Telegram.
Telegram, yes.
So these apps and other encrypted material that have been used go to show that they're very well trained by the ISI and very highly paid. You could see the bedroom of Jyoti's father, and you could see the lifestyle of Jyoti. You could make out that there is no comparison between the lifestyles of the father and the daughter. Yes, the daughter has done well for herself in a very dubious, questionable, in a very criminal intent. And therefore, this problem need not be just nipped in the bud, but it's now the time to be crushed in the bud. And our intelligence and the ATF have the wherewithal to do it now. But yes, the sorry part is, I'm sorry to say, that there are those who say that let us wait for the investigation, let us wait for the entire truth to come. Well, there'll be cover fire always, but now is the time. Shoot first, apologize later.
And now we're seeing that investigation take place, but Anil Triguniyat, as far as this High Commission officer is concerned, we do not know how high or low he goes in the hierarchy, what kind of pull he had on both sides of the border. He's now been declared persona non grata. He's been sent back. But there are still certain staff members in the Pakistani High Commission. It's not completely shut down. And there could be n number of people that could be involved in this. They also have diplomatic immunity. How do we then look at weeding these people out?
Well, it has been dealt with, as you know. He has been declared persona non grata. I mean, that is how you do it. And it is a standard practice to embed the security service officers into the embassies. This has been going on in all countries. But this is the job of the host country to have a look at it and be careful that they do not, and Mr. Singh has said it. I mean, they are given diplomatic immunities, and they are available with all kinds of facilities that are there. And this particular man, Mr. Danish, as you know, that he has been involved in earlier also. One of the ladies, an assistant professor who had gone to get the visa, she was asked whether she can work for them. So this is the kind of practice they do it, and this has been not the first time that these people have been caught. But as Mr. Singh has rightly mentioned, that in the wake of Pahalgam and the conflict that ensued further, they have all been activated. But today we have this a new kind of thing, which the friend in the panel would tell you, that this kind of influencers also have a tremendous influence. And that is something that is very different kind of a thing, and needs to be looked at in a different way with the technology that has moved up the chain. So far, it was in a traditional way. You cultivate, you move around with some people, get them dump them when they're not needed. And those are standard things that are done by the espionage agencies. But at the same time, here, Pakistan has been very successfully developing various sleeper cells all around. I mean, that is something not from now. This is also their terrorist agencies. So which is a bigger threat for us? The embassies, we can always target and get to know them, but when they have cultivated the network and the ring around, then one has to be extremely cautious and careful, and I'm sure our agencies are occupied with it. And that's the reason they have been able to catch all these in such a short time.
And speaking of these influencers, speaking of this growing community of content creators, Shiv Khera, that community is growing, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. They want all kinds of access to certain things. Sponsored trips would be great for a travel vlogger like Jyoti Malhotra. How then would any agency, try and weed out what is problematic and what's not? Are these people not realizing what they could be falling prey to? Is that what's happening here?
Poonam, espionage is a form of treachery.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. The Haryana police have arrested a YouTube travel vlogger by name Jyoti Malhotra, who they allege was secretly working for Pakistan. The police say in the FIR that Jyoti Malhotra was working closely with an individual named Danish, who was a Pakistan High Commission staffer who was just expelled last week. Now, the police also say that she visited Pakistan on at least 3 occasions, if not more, and most importantly, according to the police, she was seen in Pahalgam back in January at the very same place which was under attack on the 22nd of April. So now then the question is, was Jyoti Malhotra working allegedly as a spy for Pakistan? If she was in touch with this Pakistan High Commission staffer who's been identified as Danish and then later expelled as persona non grata, did she do in Pahalgam, and her role in the Pahalgam attack, which the police are probing, is it similar to what David Coleman Headley did before the Mumbai attacks in 2008? We'll try and get to all of that in just a moment, but first I want to play out what the police are saying, because remember, in cases of espionage such as this, the bar is very high. The legal bar, the legal precedent is they have to be able to show demonstratively that the person who is accused of selling out